The eyes of Native America were glued to screens this week as New Mexico Congresswoman Deb Haaland sat for confirmation hearings as Joe Biden's pick for Secretary of the Interior. Ms. Haaland, whose Laguna and Jemez Pueblo, would be the first ever Native American cabinet secretary. In front of a divided Energy and Natural Resource Committee, she touted a record of bipartisan bills. She's also been a strong advocate for indigenous and environmental issues, something that didn't sit well with senators who are closely aligned with the oil and gas industry. Now, if confirmed, Ms. Haaland will head the agency responsible for land and resource management and Indian affairs. This week, NMIF correspondent Antonia Gonzalez got reaction and insight from a group of Native women about an historic moment for Indian country.
Kiara Toya, Holly Cook-Makara, Shaya Lucero, welcome to New Mexico in Focus.
Thank you.
This historic nomination has created buzz and excitement across Indian country. Deb Haaland is being looked at someone who is connecting to Native values, and also a lot of people are calling her Auntie Deb. She's more than just a politician to Indian country. Shaya, you're from the same tribal community as Deb Haaland. Why is her nomination being so celebrated by Native people?
I'm happy to say that Deb and I are from the same tribe. I'm also Pueblo of Acoma, and we're actually from the same village here in Laguna. And so our village is the most traditional of all the different villages here in Laguna. So Deb knows like the Pueblo politics of not being able to be in positions such as the governor. So I feel that by her moving into this aspect to be a political lawmaker for everybody is her way of bringing that Pueblo woman's voice to our tribes and to our country. And so it does give me chills because whether you're a supporter of her or not, she is going to be the protector of our mother. And so we have to make sure that we honor her and support her in that aspect.
And Holly, you have a lot of experience on the national level with DC politics and legislation, lobbying, and advocating on tribal issues. Haaland told the Senate committee this week that she's someone who's able to connect and listen to tribal communities and work on bipartisan issues. Why is representation important?
You know, thank you for that question. That it is something that I think has been, the answer to that question has been exemplified by some of the tweets and statements that we've seen come out from Senator Daines, from Senator Barrasso, and their tweets and statements, and they're voicing their concerns over calling Congresswoman Haaland a radical for her views that are completely in line with President Biden's climate change agenda and views on drilling on public lands, fracking, etc. They come from states with significant tribal populations. 10 and Alaska, 11% of the population, 10% in Montana. They also millions of acres of tribal trust lands within the boundaries of their states. And their statements and views did not reflect a tribal perspective at all. And in fact, Congressman Rosendale, in response to the tribal concerns that were aired from Montana tribal leaders, from State Senator Jonathan Windyboy to Tribal Chairman Andy Work, at Fort Peck, I think, and he called those views pathetic, and doubled down on the statements that they've made. So that to me only underscored why we need a voice and a presence like Deb Haaland to lead the Department of Interior and bring our voice to the table, to the actual table at the cabinet and throughout the Department of Interior.
And just to add to that, of looking at a Native way of thinking, Native representation, Native views on the world, just expand on that a little bit, Holly.
Deb's approach, and that Native women, as we all know, look at our panel, have been leading the way for a long time. and both in our communities and without. And certainly, I think have led the way in getting support, our community support, and really standing behind Deb as she's gone through the run up to the nomination and beyond. But her approach and her recognition as the highest ranking freshman in introducing and passing legislation in the 116th Congress, the last Congress, she passed more bills than anyone else in her class with bipartisan support, which Congressman Don Young, from a Republican from Alaska, who walked across the Capitol and introduced her and repeatedly emphasized her bipartisan efforts to pass legislation, her willingness to work together, her willingness to listen and to consider the views from a 360 perspective. I think that reflects how we work in tribal communities. We don't consider singular views. We consider community impacts. We consider everyone that's affected. And I think that Congresswoman Holland will bring that to the Interior, and she has a demonstrated track record of doing it as a member of the House.
And Kiera, you're also from a community Holland is connected to. She has Jemez Pueblo heritage. You're a youth leader yourself and work on Native youth issues nationally. What are you hearing about Holland from people from Native youth in your community and beyond?
Especially in my community, I think we are really excited to see Holland, especially in this position. I have friends all over Indian country, and we're all like really excited, really happy to see her. We're really excited. We're all just like happy and just praying that she just gets through it.
And Shaya, you're a businesswoman, a mother. Science and engineering are really important to you. You've also seen the impacts of COVID-19 in your community. Holland, during her confirmation hearing, said she would move forward President Biden's agenda on pandemic recovery. What do you hope she could do for Indian country in her capacity if confirmed as secretary?
I think her biggest impact is getting Native Americans a voice. Even though the Department of Indian Affairs is maybe 10% of the Interior's entire job, we've never been able to bring our issues to the forefront. And so, like Senator Murkowski brought up the fact that Alaskan tribes are much different than the lower 48 tribes, and how the CARES Act funding was distributed was a real huge impact on the Alaskan Natives. And just a lot of people that, I was listening on Clubhouse, and I was watching Twitter feeds all morning, and a lot of the buzz was that people didn't realize the nature of the differences between the two. And so something like that, and educating others about our Native American views, is going to be very vital in having her as our voice, but also going back to some of the science, because she kept reiterating science. We have to follow science. Science is important. And it is important because a lot of our energy is dependent on non-renewable sources. So I was even excited to hear like the senator from Maine talk about offshore wind energy. I was just like, whoa, I completely forgot about that. And to bring things like that to our country, to think about science and energy in things in that manner, I think would help us not only maintain those jobs, but also would help, Deb kind of think in a broader picture, and just that is going to be very, very helpful to Indian country, and then as well as the rest of America.
Holly, there's much support from tribal leaders, directors of national Native organizations, elected officials, community members. There's advocacy going on right now. Can you tell us, what is Deb for Interior Week of Action? What is that about?
The Deb for Interior Week of Action has been put together by leadership at Illuminative and the Native Voters Alliance, Native Organizers Alliance, and Advanced Native Political Leadership, they have joined forces, and really they have tremendous skills in terms of providing social media content, providing the link to the letter that has generated nearly 15,000 letters going into members of the Senate Committee on Energy and Natural Resources. And that will be redirected. The committee vote for Congresswoman Holland is next Wednesday on March 2nd. So there's always a week intervening. And so as soon as she is, and notably just before we went on the air, Antonia, Senator Manchin put out a statement that he is voting for Congresswoman Holland, which guarantees her passage out of committee. He had said he was uncommitted 2 days ago, so that really indicates this was a successful week for her. So please keep an eye out. The illuminative.org or Illuminatives, if you go on their social media feed, or the Native Organizers Alliance, or Advanced Native Political, there's social media content, tweet storm, talking points, pieces that we can do to amplify the public support. And it also, I think, really epitomizes the synergy that took place that I've never seen before in 23 years of doing politics on the federal level, of the talent that we have in place on the grassroots side, on the political side, Deb herself, having all coming together, kind of hitting our stride just at the right time to play that critical role of support. And then there's the organic non-tribal community, the climate change organizations, the conservation groups that have come together and are also, all of that noise, all of those calls and letters that are going into the Senate Committee on Energy and Natural Resources is really critical. And as I said, we need do the power sharing agreement, giving the 50-50 split in the Senate. We only need, so a 50-50 vote means that a nominee will advance, a presidential nominee will advance. Senator Daines and Senator Barrasso have indicated that they will put a hold on her nomination, which means Senator Schumer will then have to file cloture. That procedure will add another 3 to 5 days, depending on which day they file it on. So I don't expect to see a vote for a floor vote for Congresswoman Holland until mid-March. So we do have some work to do in the intervening weeks to ensure that she does get across the finish line.
And Kiara, as you touched on a little bit, just the meaning of having Deb Haaland, a Pueblo woman, a Native woman who is a congresswoman and making strides on that level, but somebody who's been nominated to lead the Interior Department. What does that mean for young Native women and girls? And what does it mean personally for you?
I look up to her so much. She is one of my favorite people, and like what she's done within like the land and like all of the laws that she passed and the policies that she's done. I know she is a big inspiration to a lot of young girls and a lot of Native women, and especially those who want to follow in her footsteps, just placing down the foundation for us. So we and those young women and girls can just finish what she was started.
Well, thank you all so much for sharing your thoughts today. And I'm sure the excitement is going to continue in Indian country as people watch the confirmation process for Deb Haaland for Interior Secretary play out. Thank you so much.
Thank
you.
you.